Welcome to Pod Me If You Can TV, where we discuss obscure films. Lloyd, what obscure film with a famous person in it have you got?
I've got a 10-pack of action movies here, and the movie I chose for this week's episode is called Militia, starring Dean Cain. ATF sharpshooter Ethan Carter, played by Dean Cain, must infiltrate an extremist militia who have in their possession a stolen anthrax missile. Ethan must work with the former leader of the militia extremists and locate and destroy the missile. Now, this is a straight-to-video action thriller that came out in 2000. The film opens with the ATF attacking the militia group in their main headquarters, so we get echoes of Waco here. What's really interesting is how well the movie defines and humanizes the main villain of the militia group. It shows his love and care for his family, and it shows how even during the heat of battle, his main focus is to get his family to safety, his family and his kid, basically his wife, and it's really interesting. The actor is played by Frederick Forrest, who plays the character William Fane, and the whole action sequence ends with the ATF firing a missile into their main compound where his wife and kid where he sent them in there to hide, and the whole building blows up and he breaks down and cries, and then we cut to the American flag. It's actually a really good opening despite the obvious budget constraints of the movie. Several years later, we see Dean Cain working an office job, and here he meets character Special Agent Julie Sanders, played by Flashdance Jennifer Beals. Now, this movie, again, Militia, came out in 2000, and Flashdance came out in 1983, and she still looks pretty incredible. It's pretty amazing. Jennifer Beals does, I think, a really good job as a special agent. What I really like is there's a sequence where she shoots and kills a bad guy, and we see a brief reaction. Like, obviously, she hasn't had a lot of trigger time in the field. This is obviously her first time killing someone, and it's pretty horrible, you know. I like how the director, even if it's for a split second, shows that off, and Jennifer Beals does a good job with the performance, because quite often in modern movies we see these beautiful girls that just take out armies of guys, and we don't see that reaction, you know, the other side of combat. Frederick Forrest, who plays the former leader of the militia, I think he does a really solid job, mainly because there's just something about his voice and the delivery of his lines that just brings a certain level to it, and it really humanizes the character. He's got a lot of room to play, the villain rather, and I think we see a lot of duality to his politics, to his love for his family, and of course what he does in the film. I just like seeing that in the villain. Stacey Keach plays the main leader of the militia group, and he's just a straightforward bad guy here, but he's got a great voice and great authority and great screen presence, to the movie.
Stacey Keach is great, yeah.
Yeah, I like him, and of course he's cast as the bad guy. He has two elite henchmen in this movie, played by actors Christopher Malecki and Jane C. Victor, and they give off the impression that these guys can handle anything. There's just something about how they deliver their lines, the confidence, maybe of course the choreography of the action, but they just seem invincible. They're like two of the best henchmen I've seen in action movies. They're really good. Dean Cain is surprisingly holstered in this movie. He's built up to be like this awesome sharpshooter, and then he's taken captive and held hostage at gunpoint by the militia, which is a really, I think, daring thing to do, considering, you know, he's the main action star. I like Dean Cain, and I wish he'd do more action movies. I think he's pretty good. Now, let's just get this out of the way, you internet fans. The biggest issue with this movie is that it steals footage from other movies, mainly Terminator 2. There is a scene where the two elite henchmen of the militia go into this chemical factory and steal a bottle of anthrax, and guess what the name of this factory is, Dave? It's Cyberdyne Systems. The whole sequence where the cops race to Cyberdyne Systems gets ready, the helicopter, the shootout, you know, where Arnie kicks out the desk and he unloads with the minigun, the explosion, even the name Cyberdyne Systems is ripped off Terminator 2. What were they thinking? They could have had anything for that chemical factory. Why call it Cyberdyne Systems? It's like, you don't think we wouldn't have noticed? So
it's shot for shot, is it?
It's shot for shot, and some of it is blended pretty well. Like, there's shots of the henchmen inside, and it does look almost identical to the footage of Terminator 2, but it's because Terminator 2 is such an iconic movie, it's so obvious. Now, if you're going to steal from Terminator 2, hide it really well. And they do a terrible job at it. Like, the editor just literally drops and drag, footage from that. A kid from high school with basic editing, skills could do a better job than what they did in this movie. The movie also steals explosions and helicopter shots from American Ninja 2, Delta Force, and Clear and Present Danger. It's really hard to look past these faults, as a lot of the footage doesn't even match, and it's so comedic it just takes you out of the movie. Personally, I can't forgive the movie for this laziness, because it's such a shame. I actually think they had a decent action movie here, but then the stolen footage comes in and just takes you out of the movie.
Wow, it's amazing that obviously they've paid and bought these sequences.
Yeah.
But, all right, let's get to the big question the ladies are watching this for. How often does Dean Cain take his shirt off? And
None at all.
Not at
Surprisingly, yeah. If you paid for Dean Cain, you might as well use him for his physicality. But yeah, not much of him. I think he does a really good job in this movie, and I actually think most of the cast did a fantastic job. Good action sequence for a low budget movie. It's pretty good. But the stolen footage, man, just takes you out of it. Like, the whole time thinking that's Terminator 2. Like, is there something wrong with the DVD?
It's amazing. Well, you can find more YouTube reviews at our channel, including Future Sport, the other Dean Cain film we've reviewed so far. And you can find more from Lloyd and I at www.podmeifyoucan.com.